Well, we're all back once again. Bitcoin's more or less at new all-time highs, and we got a new fresh week with all markets seeming to creep up towards everlasting highs, and this is absolutely fucking amazing to be watching right now. Of course, last week we had a very, very momentous move, which did take out that last lower high, the last local high from Wednesday, the 17th of September, and that really changed around the views on this channel that, hey, we're no longer looking for any sort of a correction here. We're looking for Bitcoin to retest those all-time highs, and, well, at this point, just make some new fucking all-time highs. Why don't you? Why don't you do that? As Bitcoin on CME, at least, joining the rest of the party and catching up with Spot here, because Spot actually, I believe, made new all-time highs on Saturday. Saturday indeed. We actually had quite a fun weekend ourselves because we did some kayaking. We did some kayaking over here in the Florida wilderness. It was absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. Now I'm searching up all sorts of places to do the same at. Anyways, see that we got a lot of familiar faces in here. What's up, Mr. Rick Andrea S. Ayusha? I think that's how I say it. Anyways, Biff the Bear, El Satoshi's in the house as well. Ben's Chair, Edgar Silva, Reef Keepers, Miss Muradova. Who else we got? Pisa. We got Steven Schickman. We got G Unit, Cars, Crypto, and Conspiracies. All of that sounds good to me as well. What's up, Shipwreck? Good morning to you. Kryptone, Fat Sammy Slice, and Rave Song Records enjoying the early morning tunes. Yes, man, they haven't gotten old yet. At least not for me. It hasn't gotten old. That's the sign of a really good song, man. Holy shit. It's actually pretty crazy. That the guy who made that is a professional composer, and I think he did this like 3 or 4 years now. So I've been bumping the same tunes for many, many years. I haven't gotten tired of it yet, which is a really good sign. Anyways, what's up, Mr. Nicholas Carolyn? Good morning, Chiz, Kijo's dad, and Yarbrook. I enjoyed those messages in Discord, by the way. By the way, if you're not in Discord, check it out. There's a link in the description below. I should warn you, though, that it's not for the faint of heart. It is the... How do I say this in a nice way? Look... You come into the Discord, you're stepping into a very, very deep cave. Anyone's welcome to join, but I will warn you in advance, it is not for the faint of heart. It is not for certainly the average person. It is free to join, of course. Anyone's welcome, like I said, but there's going to be no hand holding in there. It's going to be no hand holding at all. You might even get some FKBs. If you're lucky, which really, realistically, as some people have noted, only the most highest of high IQs can understand these sort of things because it is just far above. You don't know if it's going to be a lizard distraction or if it's going to be a real call. That is the name of the game. We may never know. And sometimes the calls are very early, but they were never wrong. Never wrong indeed. What's up, Grandpa? What are you saying? Elsa also says, don't send her emails if you get offended in the Discord. That's right. If you get offended in the Discord, that's your issue. Yes, sometimes we police some things if it's like really, really crazy, but for the most part, it's just anything goes, man. Anything goes. What's up, Kevin Stone? This guy was so bearish on support a few weeks ago. I don't know about that because we did have a target down to the 3-day 55 EMA. And yes, there was one more setup that was suggesting a little bit lower, but after 4 out of 5 of them already played out, I would have to say, you, sir, are a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot because you can't understand these very, very subtle and nuanced things, unfortunately, which is why I would say, maybe don't watch the channel because it's only going to get more difficult from here. Anyways, yes, indeed, that is going to happen, of course. And it is what it is. No, now moon, says Randy Marsh. It is a new moon actually coming up a little bit later tonight. It's not actually technically a new moon. If you want to get really into the witches parlance, it would be called a full moon, but it is the newest moon if you want to look at it in that way, indeed. Anyways, yes, guitar wizard like that. Yeah, man, no, I totally understand. You know, some people are not going to get it, but most people do get it on this channel, which is why I want to be, which is why I've kind of resolved to be a little bit more directly rude to some people just because we don't fucking need them. Enough people understand this content, and I'm just trusting in the wisdom of this community. So again, you know, I think it's just better to fucking be a little bit rude to people like this because my biggest fear is this. I mean, this is not going to happen, but my biggest fear is turning into like one of those massive channels that tries to cater to everyone. And that's just not ever going to be this place. Just not ever going to be this place. Krown getting jacked. Honestly, man, this is probably the lightest and least muscular I've been in like many years. To be honest with you, man, I feel quite small right now, but it's fine. It's fine indeed. Thanks in advance. All good, man. All good. Anyways. That's right. I'm small and Elsa is giant. That's exactly right. Elsa is indeed taller than me. I should let you know that. BNB is just like cruising. Also, Aster, Binance spot listing. That says Kijo's dad. Let's actually check out BNB. A lot of people have been calling out this one recently. I also want to check out some some traditional markets as well before we get into the analysis of the day. Yeah, BNB is very interesting to me because it is the only crypto. It is among the like 1 or 2 cryptos that I've actually seen from a multi-cycle basis beat Bitcoin, like beat its actual Bitcoin pairing, which is extremely rare. But BNB is one of 2 that I can actually call out that have actually done that, which is super impressive, to be honest. And yeah, this one making new all-time highs well above $1,000, and I expect that this one's going to continue to make new all-time highs. Really, really powerful right there. I mean, more or less breaking out of what was this, like a 4-year long consolidation relatively recently. So it actually didn't play. It wasn't really playing with Bitcoin until recently, to be fair, because Bitcoin was obviously making new all-time highs back in 2024, and this one only followed through recently since August, actually, of this year. But still, this one now more or less playing catch-up. I'm actually curious to see what is it looking like versus Bitcoin pairing. Is it still? Why do I keep on typing BMBN BTC? There we go. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. All right, beautiful. Yeah, it still is nowhere near prior all-time highs for this, but I do think that it will try higher. There will be pullbacks along the way, obviously, but yeah, this you know, to be fair, it actually does have higher lows from macro cycle to macro cycle and a higher high from the 2017 cycle to the 2021 cycle. So, hey, that's something that almost every other cryptocurrency in the whole fucking vicinity of this ecosystem, which is like, what, hundreds of thousands now, has actually done that, which is really, really impressive, I suppose. Anyways, this is not an endorsement of BNB, just some appreciation for a nice little chart right there. A lot of people calling out ASTER as well. Might as well get this bullshit out of the way because, look, I'm going to tell you straight up before we get into it. ASTER is extremely new. Do I have any analysis on really new stuff? No. Technical analysis is already incomplete, as you know, and imperfect as it is. So looking at something that's like, what, a couple weeks old, 2.5 weeks old now, that is going to put even less, less emphasis on this. But if I'm looking at it from a 4-hour time frame, what do we have? We do have a bit of an uptrend going on in the more recent times. We see higher high and a higher low. So I would be biased towards general upside from here. Again, do I trust it that much? We're looking at a 4-hour time frame for an asset that is probably about less than 20 days old. So no, no, I do not. Anyways. Gareth Soloway been calling for lower since $15,000. Fair enough. I mean, I'm probably not gonna acknowledge that, to be honest, because I don't follow him. I don't keep up with these people. I honestly just hear about them mostly from social media and whatnot. And honestly, I'd probably have to like really watch him intently in order to really critique if I wanted to. But then again, that's not my fucking job. I don't care about that. Look, if he wants to be bearish, be fucking bearish. If he wants to be bullish, be fucking bullish. Who cares, man? Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter what anyone thinks at the end of the day. Price is going to do what price is going to do, regardless of anyone's opinion of it. What only matters is not the opinion, but it is the actual action of buying or selling. That is the only thing that can move price ever and always. Anyways, go check out some traditional marks here. I'm curious to see what some of the major indices are doing. I see SPY futures over here still looking overall very, very good. Probably going to make new all-time highs again this week. Just fucking crazy. Again, whenever you see this thing break to new all-time highs after what was realistically a very short consolidation, typically new highs are going to follow for quite some time after that. I won't go through the full rigmarole, but I do want to say I really appreciate the feedback from yesterday's video, the fall of empires video, the fall of currencies and what comes next. I wasn't expecting to have much of a response at all. In fact, to be like really transparent with you, I was for the last couple of days thinking maybe I shouldn't even release this video. Like, are people even going to give a fuck? Does this even fit on this channel? Generally people just expect price action analysis on this channel because that's mostly what I focus on. But the response was really, really good. So it makes me consider maybe I should start to do more of that kind of stuff because I love looking at that sort of stuff. I'm a history nerd to the core. I'm just curious. Maybe I should do that on a separate channel and really go deep into that because that is one of my own passions. Anyways, let's go check out some of the other major ones. Let's go to NASDAQ futures. Same thing over here, more or less making new all-time highs as we speak already today. It looks like. Did SPY make new all-time highs today? No, it did not. But again, I think this is more or less formality. I think you are going to be getting new all-time highs this week at least. Just going through the list here, we have not seen U.S. markets open up just yet. We got another 11 minutes to go. Have to click through all. This is one of the things that I actually like about TradingView's mobile app is that you can actually see the pre-market just without actually having to click on these things. But yeah, I believe most things are having a slight up open here. VUG up, yeah, VTI up. Nice. What about INTC? Up open a little bit, but less enthusiastic about that one. REMX, this one making new highs. Again, we called this one out a long fucking time ago. If you've been following this, I do think it is going to hit a high relatively soon, though. Not that I'm like trying to give you calls or anything like that, but I will tell you what I've been doing with this one. I will be letting some go in the mid 80s, let's say. Not all of it, obviously. It's a very long-term, multi-year position, but again, if you have been following that, that is kind of my plans in that region. Anyways, like I said, traditional markets is more or less for very, very long-term holds, except for a few things, and Bitcoin, well, also for a long-term hold here as well. And it looks to me like Bitcoin wants to make new all-time highs today as well. I mean, this is just fucking powerful on that move back above that, again, not last Wednesday high, but the swing high that we saw in September from the 17th of September, which was a Wednesday. That's what I'm trying to say. That's really what changed around my views on this channel, for no longer looking for a deeper correction, but now for looking for, in this case, I mean, new all-time highs. So here we go. The fun times are ahead. But like I said, this is bittersweet. This is really, really bittersweet in my opinion, because Bitcoin more or less plowing through here to new all-time highs without having a deeper correction and a more prolonged correction does really signal to me that we're very likely going to see one of these parabolic moves, which is obviously going to be very, very fun, you know, maybe for the next month or two, or maybe even 3, basically between now and the end of the year. I expect, you know, some fun times, let's say. But because Bitcoin going parabolic, you know, going just by the nature of going parabolic, you are going to get, or very, very likely to get, one of those parabolic dumps afterwards. So don't think that we're going to continue to get there or see this sort of very, very steady and lovely behavior, which it has been operating within for the past 3 years, where it just gets these nice stair steps up and consolidation sideways. Yes, it's been boring for, I think, the average person, but for more long-term investors, I think this is exactly what you want to see. So, you know, a parabolic move kind of coming, or very likely, I would say, in this, you know, in this next few months, in my opinion, is very much bittersweet. I think that we're going to get the same thing, and the 4-year cycle is still going to be alive and well, at least for the time being. So, you know, what do we expect from that? I don't know, somewhere between like a 50 to 70 cent pullback once Bitcoin does hit a high. Obviously, Bitcoin hasn't hit a high just yet, but when it does, you know, at that point, I'll start to measure out potential, I guess, macro cycle low targets. As I've gone over, we actually do have an indicator now that I am positioning to more or less catch those macro cycle lows. You can actually customize this to your heart's content and make it as aggressive or as not aggressive as you want in buying in more like a sort of long-term fashion. It's actually the LTI tool here. It's available for anyone who is in the Krown Trading Bible program. It is, you can just literally, what's it called, claim it for yourself right now. You don't need anyone else to do it. All you need to do is just follow the directions in the teachable content, and you can claim it for yourself pretty much instantly. But yeah, right now I have it on very, very conservative settings, so obviously it's not going to be firing off any sort of buy signals as of right now, but in the future, you know, I'll be keeping a keen eye on this during the next bear market cycle, because it's very, very likely to get the next major low, or at least a good long-term value area. And I do want to say, and I do want to repeat that, yes, you can make this more aggressive if you want to be, you know, just more actively buying for long-term positions. It's completely fine. You can customize it to your heart's content. And for these settings here that I'm using to kind of judge macro cycle lows, I would also add that I have uploaded these settings in the teachable content as well. So if you want those specific ones, you can get it with that. But again, doesn't mean that you have to use it exactly like that. You can customize it exactly how you want. And of course, you know, being more aggressive is warranted in certain occasions. You know, if you just wanted to buy all of these major lows here, there are settings that can be appropriated for that as well. Anyways, going back into some lower term time frame action here for Bitcoin, or is it time to get in some actual analysis? Let me just read some of these comments. Krown, will you be selling any Bitcoin, and what's your exit strategy? I'm not really planning on selling any Bitcoin, to be honest with you. The reason why I say that is because if I want liquidity from Bitcoin, I will take out a loan against it. And more importantly, I am more or less Bitcoin pilled at this moment. You know, the past 5 years have been very radicalizing to me, to be honest. The reason why is because of what happened in the Rona times, not only from a media perspective, but mostly from an inflation perspective. Before that, I always was of the opinion, like, this is something that only, you know, really fucking crazy gold bugs and crypto people care about. But now I've seen the light, and now I see that, yeah, it actually does matter. And we've lost a significant amount of purchasing power in the past 5 years. I feel like every video I start, I just want to fucking yell at the top of my lungs, you are losing value right now by holding fiat currencies. You are losing value every second that you hold fiat currencies. You are losing value. You cannot purchase as much as every second passes on. Inflation is making it worse for you. Yes, it's a very small amount right now. However, because during the Rona of times it was such large amounts for even short periods of time. Now we are dealing with, you know, inflation for all assets that is around 2x what they were 5 years ago, and that is pretty fucking crazy. If you were holding $1 million in your bank account, your purchasing power now is significantly less, probably somewhere between 500,000 to 600,000 of what it was just 5 years ago. It does fucking matter. And if you aren't invested in assets like Bitcoin, like traditional market stocks, are, you know, I kind of use that like that as well, like gold, like, you know, generally commodities, you are losing purchasing power. It's just the way that the game is. So that prompted me to go down a whole major rabbit hole where I learned about that and then learned about the tax code and tax strategies and all of this. And I realized, holy shit, the tax code and tax strategies directly promote you to get into assets rather than holding fiat currencies. And it's because they expect you to know this. But of course, why would anyone fucking know this? You're not taught this in school. You're not even taught this in university. I went to university. I went to University of Oregon, okay? I studied economics and business and even a little bit of pre-med as well. And I can tell you straight up, never got anything about this, man. Never heard anything about this shit. Nothing that was actually fucking useful, you know, that I use right now. Yes, there was a few things. Obviously, I did take a statistics course, and that was actually massively beneficial, as well as a psychology course, also massively beneficial, and a philosophy course as well. I actually really, really liked those. But everything else was just a complete waste of money, to be honest. Now, college is good for other things. Go there, party your fucking ass off, get it out of your system when you're young, and then go do something worthwhile. That's really the message of college. That's honestly it in America. Other than that, it's a fucking, you know, summer going away camp. But yeah, man, I've been on a massive kick recently just watching these videos on YouTube about financial disasters from like Caleb Hammer and Zacharias. And yeah, man, you know, people get fucked in college by taking these absolutely worthless degrees that no one can give a fuck about, that you don't need in order to do you know, these jobs to begin with, which most jobs you don't even need a degree to do, to be fair. I mean, especially with YouTube University available for just about anyone nowadays. I can't really see it as necessary unless you want to become a lawyer, doctor, or something that requires like a legitimate, you know, exam. Even then, I mean, for fuck's sake, you know, if you want to be a lawyer, just study the bar exam. I mean, that's probably the better way to do it, to be honest. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Again, you are free to disagree. If you like to disagree, that's completely fine. We can have different opinions, but I don't really care about your opinion, to be honest. And you don't have to care about my opinion as well. It's completely fine. Like, who cares? Who cares about my damn opinion on that? Anyways, let's get into some Bitcoin price action analysis. It's time to talk about some damn corns, and let's talk about some daily price statistics. Looking at Monday is actually the most likely day to close positively out of any weekday, and I expect that this Monday will very likely be one of those positive closing Mondays. In terms of average returns, we have seen just over 2.4% on average gained for those positive closing Mondays since this bull market began in 2023. On the other side, for the average percent loss, it has been just under 2%. Again, I think that's a little bit less likely today, but as always, if Bitcoin approaches one of these sides of these boundaries, I would be looking for a bit of a scalp play on the first pass. To the upside, that would give a nice little boundary somewhere around 126,500. To the downside, that'd give a nice little boundary at about 121,250-ish region. Again, we've seen this play out so many fucking times. You saw it yesterday. Again, you saw the day before that on Saturday. You saw it the day before that. And the day before that, we called these out many, many times on past videos, on past live streams. You've seen them in real time. You've seen them, you know, after the fact as well. But again, the historical price action statistics indicator, if you are a short-term time frame scalper, just looking to get those quick moves in, especially on a daily basis, I mean, this one's just been fucking money recently. You can get it. You can try it for free, by the way, for 7 days and figure it out for you or not for you. There's a link in the description below for Teachable. It's in the Caretakers Indicator Suite package. But yeah, man, this one, I'd be probably looking for the upside of this one to be hit today. And if Bitcoin does approach 126,500 today, I would be looking for a pullback again on the first pass, not on the second pass. Second pass is significantly less likely. The first pass, extreme likelihood. But these are not home run plays. These are very quick scalps. For most people, this is not going to be relevant. But here is what is relevant for probably a lot of people, myself included. We have the witches coming back. The witches are back, and they're going to be firing off yet another moon signal today with a full moon, which is traditionally the bullish moon, if you want to call it that. The last couple bullish moons, we'll just call them the bullish moons, have produced some pretty nice price action. We saw the most recent one in the 7th of September. This was when Bitcoin was about 110, leading up Bitcoin to that September high of about 118 or so. And the one before that actually put in the last prior all-time high for Bitcoin in August, and the one before that was actually the all-time high before that in July. And we are going to see this once again fire off the full moon later tonight. And of course, we can go ahead and look at some statistics right here regarding this. Again, for the redacts of this channel, like the person that we spoke about earlier, I forget his name, but hopefully that idiot's out of here, is the moon setup stats. And just blindly playing these from when the bullish moon fires off and closing it when that moon period is over, which lasts 15 days, by the way. This would have netted, probably better equity curves than most people frequently trading, to be honest. Now, is it perfect? No. Is it highly optimized? Hell no. But does it work? Actually, yes. 55% of the time, if you would have just done this over the past 10 years, you would have been profitable. And more importantly, you'd have a pretty damn good profit factor at over 1.5, or 1.5 for every dollar bet. So again, not bad. And more importantly, as we go back into the strategy tester right here, we can see the average returns for this for winning trades versus the average losing trades. The average winning trades have actually returned 13.25%, almost. The average losing trades losing about just under 8%. So what we could say is that from basically today, we would expect on average, somewhere around to the upside, if it plays out to the upside, about 140, that would be about 13%, and to the downside, if that were to play out, about 115, which sounds really crazy. I mean, we have a crash to 115. Absolutely fucking amazing to say that, after looking at Bitcoin since it was trading below $1,000. Anyways, beautiful times indeed. Anyways, yeah, so within the next couple weeks, on average, we expect somewhere between there, most likely. Again, these are averages. There's going to be some variance within these, but we do have over 100 iterations tested here. And by the way, if you're looking to test this or even to automate it, if you wanted to automate it, I in fact automated it myself with a very low dollar account and was quite surprised with the result, to be honest. You can do that in the link description below with Quant Prime. We have a tutorial on how to set this one up, and it is available for you in the Discord Quant library. Again, you can try that one out for free. As pretty much anything that we offer, except for the Krown Trading's Bible. Anyways, moving on from there, I want to call out a few new signals that have populated since this new weekly began, and they have to do with the weekly time frame. And get your damn ultimate discount awaits advertisement away from me, fucking TradingView, you bastard. Maybe try working first before you try to start sell me something. But the weekly time frame over here for CME did close and confirm hidden bullish divergence. This is the third drive, by the way, off of the last couple lows. So that is overall good, especially with Bitcoin already at all-time highs, more or less. This would be a breakout signal, and this is going to be combined with some of the lowest levels of weekly volatility that we've seen throughout this whole bull market cycle. In fact, really only comparable with what we saw in June/May of last year in 2024, when Bitcoin was putting in this mega consolidation throughout most of this year, or most of that year. Now this year we've seen a similar comparable consolidation right here, and I'd be expecting kind of a comparable resolution as well. The last one led for more or less a 50% move to the upside. This one, could this be a 50% move? I guess it's possible for sure. That would put Bitcoin somewhere around $150,000. On top of that, we can go over here and check out, hopefully I still have it on. God damn it, where did I put my HPDR? There we go. HPDR on the weekly time frame has also opened up above the median. And again, the difference between the median and the top side of the 38.2 level is about 144. I'm not saying it's going to get exactly right there, but this does start to become the sort of I guess just area that it's going to be living in, assuming that you do hold above that median. I think CME looks a little bit better here, to be fair as well. Does show the median is about 120. So if Bitcoin does play a pullback to 120 at some point, that's completely fine. We've only been talking about higher term timeframes up until this moment. While I do think Bitcoin is poised for new highs and just continuation of this move, if you do get a flash crash or a flash pullback, 120 or somewhere around there makes a lot of sense. And again, the tops of the 32 level here is about 135. So we do have some areas of interest kind of coalescing around the same regions. On top of all of this, we still have that same setup that we called out from last week, which was the closure above the 5-day 5 EMA, the red moving average right there. That one did officially confirm as of the 3rd of October, so last Friday. We called this one out, as well as a possibility beforehand. And this is the setup that effectively catches all of the mega moves for Bitcoin, all of the mega trending moves for Bitcoin. So anytime you see a 30% move or more, it always begins with this signal. I'm not even saying that as a redacted statement. I'm saying that as a literal truth. Any major move for Bitcoin has been spurned upon by this particular setup throughout the past 10 years, probably even throughout the history of Bitcoin, to be honest. But I've just tested the past 10 years because I think that's most relevant to what we're looking at. You can see the results over the past 10 years as well. This nice stair stepping up of the equity curve. Again, using the Quant Prime service to also set this one up. This is also in the Quant library, so if you want to check that out, you can check it out for free for 7 days. But yeah, this one, 83 trades over the past 10 years, just under a 40% probability to close a positive closing trade. And I should note that the past couple ones, and yes, this is gambler's fallacy, but I do definitely note that this honestly does work quite well. But the past two trades have been losers for this, and for whatever reason, this one usually loses 2 to 3 before having, you know, a big winning trade. And again, if you have been on this channel for the past couple of years now, you've seen several of these play out, namely all of the big moves that we've seen over the past 3 years. Actually, I mean, all of them have been off the back of this signal right here. The reason why I'm calling this one out yet again is because I do want to measure the average winning trade and the average losing trade, as well as the average amount of time in these trades. Average winning trade has returned about 36.5%. Average losing trade losing about 5.5%. The losing trades typically lose very quickly within 2 bars on average, and the winning trades typically win over a long period of time, again, on an average about 10 bars. So seeing as this one is literally on bar number 1, still could potentially be a failure, but I'd say the longer that it goes on from 2 bars, the more likely it's going to be a major fucking winner. When I say major fucking winner, well, 36.5% to the upside will put Bitcoin where? That'd put Bitcoin, again, over the next 10 bars, so 50 days, somewhere right around here. That'll be about what, 160, 165,000 bucks, something like this. Anyways, I'm gonna take a sip of this water as you marinate on these thoughts, and I try to get my damn tongue out of me yet again. Sky Junkie for Life says, hooray, sir. Hooray indeed, man. Hooray indeed. But yeah, overall, like I said, this has only been pertaining to the higher term timeframes as of right now. Bitcoin wants to play at short-term timeframe pullbacks. That's fine. Again, Bitcoin has higher lows, especially as long as you're above, 115. No major issues. And personally, if I were to look for like a flash pullback, somewhere around 120 or 119 would make the most sense. But I'm not even so confident that Bitcoin's going to pull back first before blasting off here. This is a setup that is more likely to blast off and continue to the upside rather than pull back. The reason why I say that is, again, because of our volatility metrics on the higher term timeframes. These are primed to move right now. 5-day is coming off of, again, the lowest levels we've seen in a long time, as is the weekly. I look at that as a signal that, hey, if there ever was a time to break out to new all-time highs, this would be it. If there is going to be a reconnect at some point, the 5 EMA on the weekly makes a lot of sense here as well. Again, that would be about 119 to 120-ish region on a flash pullback, but I don't know how much, I'd be looking forward to that. Hard to say. And ultimately, I think the focus right now is on the higher term timeframes to represent that. And of course, that also means that we have a 5-day BBWP versus we have a 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum setup. My words are all scrambled today, unfortunately, as well as all of the monthly statistics that we went over for October, as well as the fourth quarter statistics that we've gone over from a green closing September. So all of this to me really does start to align with a likely parabolic move in this fourth quarter. Again, I will restate my opinion that that is a bittersweet thing, because while I do think Bitcoin is more or less likely to go parabolic, I do think that we're going to get the same sort of 4-year cycle as we have gotten before. This is just, the culmination of that. Traditional markets kind of looking the same as well, although they don't necessarily pull back as much. Again, that is the beauty of not going parabolic like a crazy motherfucker, like Bitcoin has been known to do. But fair enough. I expect that a lot of people are probably very excited for that, because that is the time when your shitcoins are most likely to do well. So I suppose we're going to look at a lot of shitcoins in a moment here. So let me just pull up all of the chats that Elsa has saved for me, and let's see. And we shall. Okay, great. Let me see what else has got. It looks like actually there's a bunch of chats already. So let me just prepare for this by ingesting a lot of water. Steven Schickman, as always, didn't even need to look. Doggy and Ethereum. Yeah, let's start off with Doggy just to keep the tradition alive. Doggy above 26 cents. Again, it's like, if Bitcoin's going to blast new all-time highs, do I think Doggy's going to fall apart? Absolutely not. Do I think it's going to be as good as Bitcoin? Also, absolutely not. But in this case, it's played with the rule here. It's above that all major moving averages. More importantly, using that 5 EMA as a base kind of launch off of again here. I expect that this is going to be your next higher low. This one's going to head back up to the highs from we saw in September, somewhere around 31 cents. I expect that this one probably breaks some new highs from the summer as well. And, you're probably going to see somewhere in the mid-30s, something like this. Overall, I still don't think it's going to be as good as Bitcoin. Again, the big issue here is just this long-term downtrending chart versus Bitcoin. And even you have some, and even now you have some pretty nasty crosses. So while it is going to go up versus US dollar, my point is I don't think it's going to outpace Bitcoin to any meaningful degree. And realistically, you've kind of already gotten that one-off pump that we typically see throughout every cycle. So ultimately, I don't have high hopes for it versus Bitcoin, but I don't think it's going to break down either. I think versus the US dollar, it will go up. I mean, it can go up, a decent amount. I mean, it's already up 3.5% today. That's pretty good. And I do think it will go higher. It's just, sorry, 3.5% versus US dollar, not versus Bitcoin. Although it should be up versus Bitcoin because Bitcoin's up only 1.1%. But yeah, again, monthly stochastic momentum still pointed to the upside right here, so that is significant. If I had to call it, I do think it's going to get back up into the mid 30s, something like this, very likely within the next month or two. I don't know, come back to it after that. Is it going to take out this high? I think that's more of an aggressive thing to say. I probably wouldn't be calling that right now or anything like that. I'd want to see it get up to 35 cents first and just not shit the bed on a pullback, which, can definitely happen for something like this. Anyways, looking at Ethereum, same thing. Sorry, not same thing here. This one's significantly stronger. Again, we did look at the September low as more or less the pullback if this thing is going to be bullish, meaning that as long as this thing is above September's low, we're just looking to the upside. No major pullbacks, no major consolidations. This one actually in a very, very strong position here, especially with a weekly putting in what looks to be another higher low. I expect that this one's going to retest those 4,800 highs probably this week, to be honest. Again, very, very low volatility here, accompanied by momentum turning back onto the upside, assuming this week remains above 44, basically 4,500, which it's decently above right now. Obviously, long week left to go, but I do think you've got to spike up around there and very likely follow in Bitcoin's footsteps as it typically does. Perhaps it gets another pullback at around 4,900 or $5,000, but I think that this thing also is primed to make new all-time highs this month and likely live above $5,000, to be honest, as well. Looking at the quarterly time frame, again, like if not now, when? This, if you're bullish, this must be the move. If it fails this move, then not gonna look fucking good. I'll put it that way. But basically, as long as you're above, again, that September low, which is 3,800 or 3,820-ish region, all pullbacks are higher lows, and this thing is, again, primed to move higher, especially led by Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin opening up the doors for a lot of these things, just general areas of interest to the upside. I mean, you're going to have some sort of mega formation here, some sort of you want to call this like a reaccumulation in the sense of like one massive ascending triangle. I think it kind of works out on that as that. Something like this, the same highs here. So just kind of eyeballing a general target maybe for this cycle. I don't know, somewhere around like $6,000 to $7,000 if I had to guess, something like this. But overall, very, very good. Among the better shitcoins, of course. But as I said, we have seen actually better than this. BNB is perhaps not among the best, probably is the best at this point. Again, I say that, and I've never touched BNB or anything like that. Never touch it, not even in that way. Anyways, time lapse master. Hello, sir. HYPEUSDT, 5-day monthly. Sure, ma'am. All right, so this is another one of the better acting ones throughout this cycle. I think I have it on my list over here already. Yes, there we go. Okay, beautiful. Is it going to continue to be strong though? Because right now, this one kind of busted its top a little bit earlier on. Look, I don't look at it as the strongest thing anymore just because it's not following closely with Bitcoin making new all-time highs. I'd be expecting this thing to make new all-time highs either with Bitcoin or maybe slightly ahead of Bitcoin, but still good, but probably better than most things we're going to see today. Ultimately, I do look at this one, though, as in a nice little consolidation here. I don't think that this one's ready to move to new all-time highs just yet, nor do I don't think it's bearish either. I just think you're kind of caught within this consolidation range with your highs here at the price action pivot at $51.50, more or less, and your rising bottoms here, which is coming in at around $40 to $41. So, probably hangs out within this region for a while. Overall, that is good long-term. Just want to see it, however, break above yesterday's high, Sunday's high at $51.50 above there. I do think it's going to retest those prior highs, probably make new all-time highs. But until then, I'm looking at this as a consolidation here, as this thing, was an early mover, and I expect that now it's going to take a little bit of a slumber here in the short term, operating between the very low 40s and about 51.5 region. Elsa, are you okay back there, or are you just making noises? What's going on? What? Nothing. All right, sorry, you said a 5-day and a monthly. Look, there ain't much of a monthly to look at here, man. It's way too new for a monthly. 5-day, more or less the same thing, to be honest. I'd be going down to the daily, and that's why I went off the daily in this one. But still, it is certainly among the best ones that we're probably going to see today, just because it has been, a good actor up until recently. It's not necessarily that it's a bad actor right here. It's just not as strong. We expect the strong things to be moving right now with Bitcoin, preferably more than Bitcoin. Freddie M says, BITF, can it go back to all-time high if it busts through $4? I mean, anything's possible, right? But let's see how fucking in the weeds we're getting here. All right, so $4 is that prior high right here. That's kind of where we had marked off from before. We already got a pullback up of 3.25, so that's good, and it's already reclaiming that region. So I look at that as very likely to head up to $4. Is going to trade towards all-time highs after that. Again, man, well, not the worst thing in the world, to be honest, especially if you can, okay, we're going to go with your assumption here. The assumption is, from Freddie M, that this thing is going to bust. It's going to bust its load through $4. At that point, would I say it's going to go straight to all-time highs? No, but I do think it would have a nice move, about a 50% move, about a 40% move to, $5.5, $6. I think that would be very, very likely. This thing is not terrible long-term from a charting perspective. I was actually expecting something else, but it's not like that at all. Quarterly, I like the higher low right here. You're more or less already at that last swing high from 2024. So I look at this as very likely to break above $4. So I do think you will get your wish for breaking above $4. My first target, however, off of that would not be the prior all-time high. It would be somewhere back around $5.5 to $6, which I do think would be very, very likely, just to be super, super clear. So yeah, not bad here at all, actually. Freddie M is back. He asked for CLSK. CLSK, can it get to $40 if things get crazy? Well, let's see where it's at right now. It's trading at $2 right now. It's at 16.36 right now. I actually do, or the price action pivots trendline extensions actually do have this one kind of having an early breakout right here. It opened this quarter above that upwards boundary, the topside boundary, and has now used it as a bit of a basing point too. So I look at that as good. Again, you got the potential here for a higher low. No higher highs just yet, but I do think if not now, then when? And I do think you probably will get back up towards this high, $24-25. From there, could it get to 40? If it reclaims this high, then yes. I actually do think you'd be right on the money there, or at least like 30 to 33, which is pretty fucking close to your target. Yeah. If it starts to close above this swing high at $24-25, even on like a weekly time frame, I do think you will actually get your $40 target hit. But I'd probably, whoops, I almost hit my desk right there. Yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself until then, but I actually do think it's possible. Again, it's contingent upon reclaiming this region right here. I do think you are going to test around this region, though, at least. The question is, do we actually reclaim this region? If you do, then yeah, I'd feel very, very strongly about $40 being hit. Probably even above $40 a little bit as well. But for right now, still a bit in limbo here, but it does have some pretty good signals going on, I will say. Anyways, Pisa says, hey, Krown, GM, what's up, man? Can you take a look at XRP? I can take a look at XRP. I'm waiting for the day where you list some time frames that you'd be interested in, but we'll go back to it. Regardless, I'll try to guess. Okay, so we've been saying the same thing about XRP for a while here, in the sense that let me actually go back to this chart. I think it's the one that I have it already charted out on. But we've been saying the same thing on XRP for a while, that as long as it's below about like 305, not like the biggest fan of it compared to other things, but it does look like it's going to give a real try above 305, I think, this week. And if it can reclaim above 305, or really even just trade above yesterday's high. So if it can trade above yesterday's high, and especially if it closes a daily dildo above there, I do think you will see the reversal happen here. You are not going to get the rejection right here. If this thing is going to reject, you'd really expect it to fall through to the downside. I mean, already, to be honest, and at latest by tomorrow, Tuesday. Just the fact that it's kind of remaining around here for a while, I do think is a good sign. Again, it'll be fully validated, in my opinion, if you can get back above yesterday's high. At that point, yeah, there's going to be stops along the way, but I'd just generally be looking back up towards $3.50. Maybe just makes new all-time highs from there as well. But right now, it's kind of like a critical point. more or less, it has hit our target of 305, which we've had for a couple weeks. So that got hit, and if you're going to be bearish, that's exactly where you'd be expecting it to turn down. So what does this imply? It implies that we more or less need Bitcoin to not have any real pullback from where it's at right now, because if Bitcoin does pull back, then this thing will fail this area once again, and at that point, I actually would be quite bearish on it. That would confirm bearishness on it to me. But if assuming Bitcoin just holds it here without any sort of real pullback and just grinds its way sideways and up, this one should do the same, and it should reclaim yesterday's high. If it does, like I said, just generally back up towards $3.50 would look decent. Again, maybe not the strongest thing, but certainly not the worst thing, and absolutely more strong than 99% of shitcoins out there. That is 100% for sure. And I also should add that the weekly did reclaim that 5 EMA, so this is its real chance to do it, again, on low volatility. All of these things working with each other. So yeah, what I basically say is if you don't see a breakdown by like Tuesday, Wednesday, if it doesn't go down, it's going to go up more or less. So yeah. All right, cool. Miss Murodova is back. She says, could you check out Deep, please? Short, mid, and long term. All right. I don't know how much of a long term there is on this thing. It's rather new, isn't it? Well, I guess it's not that new. I mean, it's been around since October of 2024. Still doesn't really populate much of a monthly time frame here. But let's go down to a daily time frame. Again, with Bitcoin at all-time highs, it's going to be hard for a lot of these things to break down. So at the very least, they should be trading sideways. This one is still sideways. It's certainly not the strongest thing of all time. It's certainly not the strongest thing that we've seen today at all. In fact, among the weaker ones we've seen today. But I would say that last week's low was a significant low. And if this thing was going to break down, we really would have expected it to begin last week. So I do think you are going to see this hidden bullish evidence play out here. And I do think that you will see this thing back around like 17 to 19 cents. Let's just call it 20 cents, 17.5 to 20 cents region. That, however, I would really temper this whole statement by saying, look, if you see this thing at all below 13 cents again, send it to fucking Hades. But until then, even the weak get dragged up by a strong broad market. A rising tide lifts all ships, and in this case, this ship is being lifted up rather than sailing on its own. This is just pretty not interesting compared to a lot of things we've seen even today, but yeah. Do I think it's going to break down if Bitcoin doesn't break down? No, I don't. It's just very unlikely for that to happen. And it's already actually traded above last month's high, which is also a good sign as well. So yeah, I don't know. If I had to call it, probably somewhere around 19 cents, give or take a cent from that number. Again, I would absolutely change my opinion on this thing if you do see anywhere below 13 cents. That would be really fucking devastating. But until then, this would seem like it's its chance, more or less. Well, do we have anything else here? Maybe very low-term timeframes. Very low-term timeframes, just in a nice little gradual uptrend. Again, your uptrend remains intact as long as you're above like 13 to 13.5 cents. You even got another hidden drive of hidden bullish evidence right here. Wow, my speech is completely fucked up today. I even had a good night of sleep as well. Crazy. Anyways, yeah, if I had to call it in the short term, I think it's going to try another move to the upside. So a lot of things kind of lining up here. This is the chance for most of these things to pull through. Anyways, let's check out the next comment. We have Benatti Yunus. That's actually a really cool name, man. You must be Italian or something, right? Very exotic name, Benatti. And you're looking at Solana, hourly, and daily, okay? Quite the spread of different time frames here. Man, my face is dry as fuck after yesterday. I was in the sun for like 2-3 hours straight. Did not wear the proper protections. Didn't put on my soy screen, my good old soy screen. But yeah, probably should have done that. Anyways, hourly time frame for Solana Sederpa. Overall, nice little uptrend here. If it does want to pull back, anywhere around 230 is fine. But I'd be more or less expecting continuation back to 237, 238 region, probably just new highs on this rally. New highs like from the last week is what I mean, not like new all-time highs, although that is very possible here as well, as this one has held it up really, really well. We got our pullback down to $200. Actually even overshot that pullback a little bit. Last week it reclaimed very important areas. So at this point, I think, again, if not now, when for many of these things, I'd even go as far to say that as long as this thing's above 220, I'm just generally looking for this one to fall through to the upside, somewhere back around 253, 254, basically the highs of last week, I think, or the highs of September. If you get back around there, I don't think you're going to reverse from there. This to me looks like it wants to blast through. I mean, perhaps I should say that this thing is going to head back up to all-time highs, because if you take out last month's high, which I think have a hard time not seeing it do that at this point. If breakdowns were going to happen, I strongly feel like they were going to happen last week. The early portion of October is the time for pullbacks to happen, or breakdowns to happen. And we didn't even get it. I mean, the lows of October are all on the 1st of October, which is kind of a little bit concerning because you don't really get that usually, but so far so good. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that, man. Overall pretty good, actually. Overall pretty good. I think you're very likely going to test that prior 253 high. Maybe you pull back on the first pass, but I don't think it's going to be reversal. I think you're going to be heading to that prior all-time high and probably new highs, to be honest with you. Again, that can take some time. It's not happening today or tomorrow, but throughout the next month or two, something like that. Get with the hype says, GM Krown, what's up, man? Tesla on the weekly. Let's check out Tesla. Tesla derp, 437. We've been bullish on this one for a long time. I'm going to continue to be bullish on it here. If we're on the weekly and monthly, higher term time frames, I think it's generally going to float to new all-time highs. In the next couple months. Weekly time frame, do we see a bit of a consolidation sideways and down from here? It's very possible. Last week did look like a little bit of a short-term reversal dildo. So perhaps you correct short-term to like 420. Great number right there. But more or less, as long as you're above about 395, or let's just call it $400, pullback's kind of irrelevant in my opinion. It's all higher lows. It's all very shallow stuff. Generally, I'd be looking up and to the right from here as well. Looking at the quarterly, I know you didn't ask about it, but just put things in perspective. This thing could come all the way down to like 380, 390-ish region. I wouldn't bat an eye. I'm looking at this thing to make new all-time highs this quarter. Again, full disclosure, I do hold this one. And in the short term, yeah, I do think you are going to get a shallow pullback here, something like this. Perhaps all the way back down to $400. That's fine. Again, I wouldn't bat a fucking single eyelash. On a move like that. I think that this thing is poised for new all-time highs. Just, again, shooting you straight, man. I'm actually genuinely curious what the 6-month time frame looks like. Yeah. I rest my case as I take a sip of this water. Nicholas Carolyn, hate from Africa. Fuck yeah, man. ENA, 3-day and weekly. Gotcha, man. All right, so this is Arthur Haynes' favorite shitcoin, I think, at least for this cycle. Definitely not as good as the other ones on the 6-month time frame, but let's go to the 3-day and the weekly. All right, let me get to the 3-day first. 3-day looks very bizarre to me. I mean, as of right now, you are riding that green 55 EMA. Don't know how much I trust it right here. Definitely not the strongest thing we've seen today, among the weaker ones we've seen today, but still probably better than most shitcoins, to be fair. At least not like on the lows, right? I'm not necessarily making this analysis off of what I'm seeing exactly here on ENA. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to relate this to what I think is happening on Bitcoin. More or less, I do think that you are putting in a swing low here, and you are going to head back up towards 74, 75 cents, to be honest. Go down to a 3-day, 5-day, a weekly. I'm not seeing any like super obvious signals here. I just think that you're generally going to bounce off of this lower boundary again. Again, price action pivots on the daily is 53.5 cents. As long as you're above there, I look at this as a consolidation range, and you're likely to try higher from here. Again, low volatility, no signals on the RSI, so I don't really have anything to make out of that just yet. But I just kind of follow the trend and look at the greater market in this case. So again, this one's just keeping the Bitcoin strength in mind, not necessarily its own strength, but Bitcoin's doing all right. Do I expect this thing to break down? Hell no. So yeah, but I certainly would be calling a breakdown if this thing did close a daily dildo below 53 cents. Below there, yeah, I do think that you have a bit of a breakdown back to like 42, 40, 45 cents region. I'd want to come back to it after that, but if Bitcoin doesn't break down or have like a moderately good pullback from where it's at right now, which I honestly don't think it's going to, well, I don't think that this thing would either. That's really what it comes down to. Leander Bayer says, hello, friend. What's up, man? Looking at GOOG on the weekly, looking at an exit strategy to scale out, but the highs just keep coming. Look, man, I understand your position, but what I don't understand is I don't understand what you bought. I don't understand what what you were trying to do when you took that investment on. So, it was a long-term investment. What was the strategy here? Did you just say, hey, Google sounds cool. Google's good. I like the ticker. I'll buy it. In that case, I would just sell at any price because you don't really have a real strategy going on. But look, do I think that this thing's going to make new highs? Yes. Would I want to sell here? Probably not. Now, if I had a strategy for a long-term investment that was buying down here in 2022, maybe I want to take a little bit of profits here. I probably wouldn't want to take the whole position off, or I certainly wouldn't want to take the whole position off. This thing is having a fresh monthly breakout, man. Why the fuck would I be looking to sell on the first monthly breakout? What? Why? No, hell no. This is strength. I mean, shit, man. I think worst case scenario on a pullback, you'd get back down to like 220. I'm not even confident you're going to get a major pullback here. I mean, you might. Yeah, you might get back down to 220, but again, I'd look at that as completely fine. Overall, I think this thing is poised for new highs this quarter again, maybe even into 2026. So yeah, man, very, very difficult to get, to make the analysis more relevant without further, context. But if I'm kind of guessing where I think you might be coming from, why would you want to sell the fucking golden goose? It's just continuing to lay golden eggs, man. It's just continuing to lay the golden eggs. Don't kill that fucking goose. Don't kill that goose. KB22 says, GM, sir, what's up, man? SUI, daily, weekly? Sure, man. This one's related to DEEP, I think, so I expect more or less a similar chart. Hopefully a little bit stronger, though. Oh, I'm on the wrong thingy. All right, let's see. Where's my SUI derp? Yep, it's 363. So again, not following as well as you'd probably want to Bitcoin, but it's the same thing as DEEP. Do I think it's going to break down here? No. It would require Bitcoin to have a sizable pullback. This one has some hidden bullish evidence on the weekly time frame. I think that is likely to play out. You're probably going to see, maybe this week or next week, head back up to $4. If we can start to close dailies above $4, I think that you are going to see a real breakout here, back up to basically $5 again. Probably might even make new all-time highs, something like that. I would just generally be bullish on this thing as long as you're above $3. Below $3, that's where I say, hey, bearishness confirmed. But until then, no, just follow the trend, man. Just follow the trend. This thing has had a nice gradual uptrend here, just not so strong, which makes me, not so interested in something like this. But yeah. Anyways, we got Chris Vela next. Says, what signals alt season when we get there? It's when all of your shitcoins go up to heaven. What signals alt? I mean, you're basically asking like, what sort of Bitcoin dominance levels signals alt season? I don't even think that that's going to work, to be honest. When does okay? A lot of thoughts on this, actually. A lot of thoughts on this. So, what signals alt season? Well, here's what we know about alt season, and let's just define alt season as altcoin, like every fucking altcoin going up, hundreds of percents, X's, right? And I think the illusion of alt season is an illusion to begin with, because most alts do not do that. Most alts do not do that. The ones that are the big beneficiary of the alt season that people refer to are typically the newer shitcoins, and they are part of the narrative of the cycle. So the narratives of this cycle have been AI agents, memes. I think that those narratives are done, and we saw we did see alt seasons with those, because there were several names that went up, many X's, not percentages, but X's. Oh god damn it, I'm getting a call right now. Should I answer? All right, I'm going to answer this call really quick, and then I'll get back to this. All right, we're good to go. It's actually a really important call, but this is more important. We have more important stuff to talk about. We got shitcoin season to be talking about. So yes, where was I? Yeah. So those were the narratives earlier. What's going to be the new narrative? I don't know. There's probably gonna be like one last narrative for this season. What's going to signal alt season? It's going to be Bitcoin parabolic blowing off its top, basically, and that's usually, that's obviously that is the end of the cycle, more or less, but you got about a month to about 2 months from that time to the point where alts usually go pretty fucking crazy. And even the shitty shit alts, they go up a lot percentage-wise as well. But of course, they're not the big winners. They're not like the fucking kingmakers that I think a lot of people are looking for. So what signals alt season? That's hard to say. First, Bitcoin needs to go parabolic, up big, like let's say Bitcoin to 150, something like this. Then, just figure out whatever the new narrative is. I don't know what the fuck the new narrative is. I'm not in the trenches like that. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have a good answer for you, because I feel like this particular cycle has been different than past ones. And I feel like we actually have already seen, kind of an alt season for every year. Like 2023 was again AI, 2024 was memes, 2025 what's it going to be? I don't think that we've seen the narrative just yet, because we haven't really seen anything go super crazy from the shitcoin drawer. But looking at Tether dominance chart, I mean, this is starting to look pretty nasty here for a real breakdown. So that would also be, the time for risk on with, some of the more shitty coins. But again, the game isn't to just, okay, in my opinion, the game is not to just be in fucking altcoins, because alt season, it's to be in shit that would be doing better than Bitcoin comparatively. And if it's not doing better comparatively to Bitcoin, then who gives a fuck if it's alt season or not? Because you're losing to the major indice of crypto land, which is Bitcoin. So for that, I pull back to the same thing that I always say with this. The best chart to be looking at, the best signal to be looking at is for a weekly uptrend on your favorite shitcoin versus Bitcoin chart. Not versus the US dollar chart, but versus Bitcoin chart. If it has one of those, okay, now you're in your own alt season, and who gives a fuck what the rest of the market's doing? So yeah. All right, cool. Let's move through this. This might have to be a little bit of a shorter stream today. I'll just kind of let you know in advance. All right, there we go. Alex Johnson says, Krown, I love you, bro. I love you too, sir. I followed since 2018. Fuck yeah, man. That is fucking awesome. I love that. I love it when we get an OG. We've killed it. You've killed it. Many people have killed it. I think most people, hopefully just being in this market since 2018, have killed it. Again, you don't need to be fucking crazy. You don't need to be fucking cute. You just need to get some Bitcoins. That's all, man. Yeah, man. Really happy to hear that. And always happy to see an OG of this channel. 2018 seems like it was yesterday, but it was literally 7 years ago, which blows my fucking mind. This channel is going to be on its 8th year anniversary in like 5 months? Like, what the fuck? Where did the time go? It's amazing, man. It's truly amazing. Anyways, Old Gringo says, GM, what's up, man? Thoughts on Aave versus Ethereum? Well, the good news is you're charting it against another shitcoin, so the chances of your chart being better are higher, but even that's pretty bad. I mean, Ethereum is kind of doing decently here. Look, this is not what I'd want to be focusing on if I'm playing in the shitcoin drawer, man. Daily, weekly, look, you might get a bounce here. It could bounce up to, I'm just going to say this for an example's sake. It could easily bounce up from where it's at right now, like 35%. And I'd still be massively bearish on it. This is a god-awful chart, man. A god-awful chart that only a mother could love. And I highly doubt you'll even get that bounce, because look at the monthly, man. The monthly is already having a breakdown. This is the next local and macro swing high. This thing is a lot more likely to move back down towards the 2024 lows than it is to pop back up towards these highs. Yes, you might get a 30% move to the upside, but that doesn't solidify this as a higher low. That would be a bearish retest. Overall, this thing wants to come back down, man. Really bad. Aave versus Ethereum, and I imagine Aave versus Bitcoin is just significantly worse. I mean, this just shows, again, the strength. So it's like, who gives a fuck about alt season if your chart looks like this? You're just losing over the long term. That's all, man. That's all. But yeah, long term, I think it's down, man. I think if you're plotting it versus Ethereum, I'd rather hold Ethereum. Yes, you might get a bounce relatively soon. I don't think that bounce is going to reverse you into an actual uptrend, man. Live City says, can you look at Litecoin? Looks like it's going up only. I mean, look, most things should be going up if Bitcoin's going up, man. Bitcoin at literally new all-time highs at this exact moment. Holy moly, these green dildos are growing in front of our face. They are getting massive and girthy and absolutely significantly strong. I can't hold it in my bunghole anymore. Bitcoin 125, 100. In case you missed it. Anyways, Litecoin, again, like, why? I just do not fucking understand why you'd want to hold this thing, man. You can hold fucking Bitcoin and it goes up only, and this thing goes sideways only. Amazing. Nowhere near its prior all-time high. Nowhere fucking near. Look, I think you might spike up back up to like 135, 140-ish region, 145, whatever these highs are from here. Actually, more like 145. And yeah, it probably does fall through. It probably does. But here's your real chart, man. Here's your real chart. This is versus Bitcoin. Like, this is so fucking bad. It's so unbelievably fucking bad. It's so unbelievably fucking bad. The longer you hold this thing, the more you will lose versus Bitcoin. That is just a fucking fact. Since 2013, more than 10 years, all it knows how to do is suck. All it knows how to do is to go down and be an absolute dog shit piece of crypto. whatever the hell that means. Best case scenario is, is maybe it spikes back up here, like 1,300 Satoshi, something like that, man. But again, looking at it versus a dollar, will it go up? Yeah, very likely will go up. Again, this is an illusion. It's not going up. It's just a dollar going down, man. It's just a dollar going down. When you measure it versus Bitcoin, when you measure it versus another hard asset, you realize this thing is just a fucking loser long term. It's a loser long term. It could spike all the way back up to $300, $400, and it would still be a massive loser. Why? Because it's not making new highs with the rest of the market. It's fucking garbage, man. It's absolute fucking garbage. Now, as far as the short term goes, do I think it will go up from here? Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely. If things were going to break down, it was very likely to happen last week. Instead of breaking down last week, it actually pushed through. So I would, more or less, I'm bullish here, I guess. But do I think that this is a good asset to hold? Fuck no. Do I think you could get to like 180, 190, $200? Yeah. Does that do anything versus Bitcoin? Not really, unfortunately. So yeah, man. Do I think it's going up? I think it's going up now. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will go higher, decently higher even. I just think as an investment, this is fucking dog shit. Most of these things are dog shit. If they can't beat Bitcoin, it's not worth looking at, in my opinion, for a long-term investment or really an investment at all. If you're in for a short-term trade, sure, yeah. I mean, you can make money off these things. Of course, you have to deal with lower liquidity, but you do get higher percentage moves for those, for dealing with that lower liquidity. Probably averages out at the end of the day. Probably just better off trading Bitcoin anyways, to be honest. But hey, man, it's your life. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Let's see. Gulfam, Mr. Saleh says, can you look at Apex on the daily and 4 hour? Do you think it retests prior all-time high from here? Let's check it out. I haven't looked at this one since last week, so naturally everything's changed. Not bad for a move here. Jesus Christ, what a fucking move. Do I think it's going to retest all-time highs from here? No, I don't think so. I think actually this is going to be a high for a long time at 275 or whatever it is from, I think it was a week ago. Yeah, something like this. And I also think that this is going to be your low for a while as well at 1.25 or 120, whatever that number is. I think you're going to be going sideways within this range, 40 to 50-ish region in the short term. I just don't think you're going to bust out in the short term. I think you're going to do something like this. Draw out some LARP lines here. The old LARP line, something like this. And then later on, I don't know, late October or early November, it'll choose a direction. But yeah, as always, I'm very, very skeptical on moves that just go vertical like this very, very quickly. And also, I want to see volatility, cool down for a while before I look for any sort of major breakout or major breakdown. I think you're going sideways for a while is what I'm trying to say. So do I think it's going to get to the all-time high? It's certainly not my first target. Even if it broke above this high, this 270 high right here, I would not be targeting all-time highs, man. This is, that is greed speaking at that point. I think 3.25 is about where I'd be looking towards. God damn. Yeah. Not a big fan of these parabolic moves. Again, this is like end of cycle type shit to me. Now again, I think the cycle will probably last another couple months, but yeah, I don't look at that honestly as a good thing. It's not guaranteed to get to new all-time highs. I feel like it would have already been doing that if it was going to do it like BNB. Anyways, bull moon, baby. Indeed it is. It's bull moon, or soon enough, later tonight. Super Google Lee. Hi, brother. What's up, man? Thoughts on BABA on the weekly and daily, bought at an average of 105. Let's check it out. I haven't looked at this one in a very long time. I think you asked about this like a few years ago as well. So you bought it at 105. So you have an absolutely amazing trade going on. You literally bought the last higher low. So that was perfectly done, more or less on the daily 200 simple. So lovely and very technical in that aspect as well. I do think you are going to come into a pullback relatively soon. Is it going to pull back from here? Does it try maybe one more stab higher? That I don't know. There might be one more stab higher towards like 200 or like a little bit above 200, like let's say 210. But I do think that you are generally coming into the next like local high relatively soon. I'm not bearish on it though. I just think you're going to spend some time going sideways from there, and then likely more upside after that. The monthly is still very, very good. Again, for reference, this thing could easily pull back to 160, and I'd look at that as completely fine. What the fuck is that noise outside? No, I'm hearing noise outside. The audio is not working. Cannot hear you. Some people say it's fine. Some people say it's not good. disconnect and reconnect to YouTube. Yeah, I don't have any of my. Yeah, I can actually turn up the volume a little bit. Maybe it's the maybe it's the noise gate that's on it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna continue to go because it does seem like things are fine. Yeah. People are saying it's fine. All right, I might just be getting trolled right here. Yes, you are hitting the top side of this price action pivots trendline extension. So somewhere around here, like I said, it might spike a little bit further north and then pull back. But I'm not bearish on it. I would just be looking for a consolidation and then up again. Yeah, I think over time this thing will get back to like 230-ish region. But I think it'll look something like this. I think you get a pullback, boom, 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 something like that. That's kind of where I'd be looking towards. Yeah, other than that, I don't really have strong opinions on this thing. Refresh, all good, says Bear Nutrition. Thank you for that, my man. All right, cool. Yeah, it's the fucking trolls. It's those damn trolls. I've been trolled on the internet yet again. Very, very common. Anyways, Jetski Goose says Cardano versus $1 weekly, monthly. Sure, man. Let's check it out. Okay. Yeah, again, just not that interesting compared to most things we've seen today. But if Bitcoin does not pull back, this thing is not going to break down. And that's exactly what it's doing. And again, the monthly time frame, this is why I have that rule. As long as you're above all major moving averages with the red 5 EMA leading, I can't be bearish, and I'm still not going to be bearish on this thing, despite me, not really liking it, to be honest. But yeah, or it's not necessarily that I don't like this. I don't even know about this asset, but I do know that it has some of the most crazy cult-like members. Like you got Cardano, you got XRP, you got Hex, you got Litecoin, kind of, I guess, and then Link. But the Link Marines really are not that obnoxious, so I will say, like, they're a lot more reasonable, it seems like. But still cult, still definitely cult, just a lot more reasonable people. I like those people a lot more. But yeah, looking at this thing, man, look, if it was going to break down, last week was its chance to do so. And instead of that, it has kind of dug its heels in here. Yes, it hasn't really confirmed continuation just yet, but I would say anywhere above 90 cents, it will. The price action pivot right here from Friday. And at that point, I'd be looking for this thing to roll back up to $1, probably above $1. Probably goes back up to these highs here. I would guesstimate between 1.25 to 140-ish region. Probably even just follows this price action extension here. It's like a potential, long-term mega target, if you will. Again, though, I would be very happy to turn bearish on this thing if it could trade below last month's low. But until then, upside is going to be the most likely thing, especially with Bitcoin, threatening to make just more and more new all-time highs right here. Anyways, let's see. We got Benatti. He's back. Says, hey, sir, thank you. All good, man. Do you think a correction this week or maybe short-term on Solana? I was short at 220. Let's see. Let me go back to Solana here. You're short at 220. It's at 235. No. I think it's continuation first before anything else. I think it's more likely to hit 240 than it is to come back down to your entry at 220. Again, just shooting you straight, man. Yeah. I don't think so. I think you got your pullback. When was this? Hold on. What are you saying? Yeah, I think you got your pullback on Friday, man. This thing is a lot more likely to try these highs here than it is to pull back. Yeah. That's what I say about that. Only way I'd switch around my opinion if it took out yesterday's low. If it took out yesterday's low, you're basically already at 225. So that's not even helpful. So I feel kind of bad about that. But yeah, if I'm betting on a direction, it's to the upside here. If you take out yesterday's low, okay, fair enough. And I think there's some hopium for a pullback, or at least it's just not confirmed as continuation as long as you're below yesterday's high. So there's that. So if you wanted to wait until this thing takes out yesterday's high to close and take the loss, that technically makes sense to me. I just don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think it will take out yesterday's high. But yeah, if I was stuck in that position, that's kind of how I'd play it. I'd look at that as like an obvious stop. So yeah. Chris F says, GM Krown, what's up, man? Can we do super on the weekly and monthly? Sure, man. I remember, like, what was it, last week or the week before that? It popped up to like 90 cents or something. And really, really quickly, we said, hey, I have my reservations about a move like this. And what do you know? From 97 cents all the way down to 61 cents. Again, I love my man, Elliot. I absolutely love him as a friend. This chart, though, I'm not in love with it. Still not in love with it either. But again, if Bitcoin's not going to pull back decently here, do I think this thing's going to, break down? No, I don't. It would require Bitcoin to really pull back. And as of right now, it is using that red 5 EMA on the weekly time frame to kind of base off of. So I do think you are going to see, probably in the short term, this next week, maybe week and a half, somewhere back around 66.5 cents. And ultimately, I think it'll get back up to like 75 cents at some point. But definitely not the strongest chart in the world. As long as you're below last month's high, that kind of becomes like a major pivot now. Now, I would be very happy to get very fucking bullish on this thing if it could just trade above last month's high. But that's very far away, as you can see. And I'd get very bearish on this thing if it came back down below last week's low, last Tuesday's low at 57. Sorry, yeah, 57 cents, 57 and a quarter actually. So yeah. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Mr. Aaron says, Lord of Shitcoins, what's up, man? Yesterday's video was epic. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Like I said, I was really hesitating the last few days to even release it. I'm like, people even gonna like this? But I really enjoyed the feedback, man. So I really appreciate that. Now I'm starting to I need to decide if I want to create another YouTube channel where I go like deep into all of that nerd shit, or if I just put it on this channel. I'm not really sure. Not really sure how I should do it. I'll have to consult with one of my YouTube friends. But yeah, man, we'll look at AAVE for you. You're looking at a 4-hour time frame. Wonder why people are interested in AAVE today. All right, just one moment. All right, go. If you have issues, if you have issues with the audio, take your pants off and put peanut butter in your beehole and scream "wag me." That should fix it. That's right. We're all going to make it. Look, on the 4-hour time frame, I think it's heading up from here. I think you're at least going to retest this high at 300 or 299, probably, pull back on the first pass. But this thing is set up to fall through. This thing is, if it was going to break down, it would have happened yesterday. This thing is more likely to head up to 309 than it is to go back down below 280. Now, if it did go below 280, I'd be very bearish, but I think that ship is passing right now, man. I'd be betting on 310 rather than below. Yeah. Not bad for the short term. Like I said, for the long term, it's an investment. I think it's absolute garbage, but yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. Ski. I think I actually finally did it. Holy shit. Ski. Hey, Krown, what's up, man? Russell 2000, IWM on the weekly and daily, sure. IWM. All right, we got 24-hour time frame right here, and actually, let's go to higher term time frame first. New all-time highs. Again, I'm just not going to be bearish on new all-time highs. That's just a rule. Monthly, I think this thing's going to continue to make new all-time highs, man. I didn't ask about a monthly, but just general direction here, I think you're more likely to make significantly new all-time highs. I think at some point in the next few, honestly, I don't know, 6 months, a year, whatever, probably back around $300. Not back around $300, but at $300. In the short term, no bearishness at all, as long as you're above, especially basically 240. Price action pivot down there. Very short term, do I think you can pull back? It's possible, sure. Yeah, but like I said, as long as you're above about 240, I don't think the pullback is threatening in any way. And you've already kind of had your pullback from retesting that prior all-time high. Well, the first big one was right here, obviously, but then even more recently, that was like a few weeks ago. So I feel like if you're going to pull back, that's likely where it would have happened. Instead, you actually closed on new all-time highs for the weekly. So I look at that as strength. I look at that as more likely to follow through with a breakout. You might get shallow pullbacks along the way, of course. That's natural, but up in the way is the name of the game right now, I think. Live City says, "Thanks, Krown. I love your Litecoin analysis." No problem, sir. I'm happy to lend an opinion anytime you desire. I'm glad that you enjoy it, man. Boo Radley, I think I've read about you in a classic novel. Clash. George plays Clash Royale. What the fuck on hourly? All good, man. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, man. Clash. Okay, this is a new one for me. I really don't know what the hell to expect on this thing. Maybe we go to this thing. ClashUB? No. George plays Clash Royale. Oh, hold on. I think I found it. Hey? No. Don't be doing that. There we go. All right. It's there's perps on it, so it must be good. Oh, nice. It's been around for 4 days. Amazing. Oh, amazing. Let's look, okay, hourly time. All right, fair enough. Okay, again, very new asset, right? Yes, my assets. I don't know how much to trust this. All right. I really don't know how much to trust this. It does look like this would be a higher low, which means I would probably be looking somewhere around 7 to 7.5 tenths of a cent. Sorry, 7 cents to 7.5 cents, somewhere back around here. Do I trust it? Hell fucking no, sir. Hell fucking no. Would I get bearish if it came back down below this price action pivot at 6.1 cent? Sure. Do I trust anyone else on this? Hell no, man. Way too new. But I'm sure George Plays Clash Royale is going to be a really, really good project, man. I'm sure that they're going to change the world. It sounds like a winner, man. Crypto Saint says, Krown, in all capitals. Did you see that Trump said Saint is the best trader in the world and EC now is gayest of gaylords? XRP daily, please. Yeah, I think I heard something about that. I'm more shocked that Trump is quite judgmental. I'll say the same thing about XRP as I did before. If it's going to fail, you'll know because it's back down below last Friday's low, which is about 290. As long as you're above there, I don't know, man. I have a hard time seeing it fail. But hey, if it's going to fail, this would be the area for it. I think that failures are canceled if you do trade back above yesterday's high. Now, it is a little bit concerning that it is backing off of this sort of boundary that has been holding in the past few highs on this thing. But it's still a long day left to go, man. Another 9.5 hours left. So until it actually, if you just want a super simple way of looking at this one, if it's above yesterday's high, it's a breakout, probably heading back to prior all-time highs, in the next month. If it's below yesterday's low, especially on a closing basis, then you still got the potential for the next lower high here and possibly back, or not possibly, but very likely an actual breakdown incoming. So yeah, I don't know. As far as Trump said EC now is the gayest of gaylords. That's quite a call. I mean, there's a lot of gaylords out there, man, and there's nothing wrong with gaylords, to be honest, as well. We love our gaylords. We love our gaylords indeed. Crypto Ninja says Pith on the daily, please. I got you, man. I think this is an exchange token. Is it an exchange token? I'm guessing. I don't know. Well, actually, honestly, I have no fucking clue. You're on a daily. I'm on a daily right now. I do look at this as a nice little base here. Probably going to pop back up to like 18, 19 cents or something like this. Long term, absolute fucking garbage, but even the garbage gets to rally at some point. Again, weekly. Last week was its chance to break down. It did not break down. Instead, it has used it to base off of. So, if anything, I'm looking for this thing to get back up somewhere around, let's just call it 20 cents. On like a one-off spike play, I'd be looking at this 55 EMA again, because that is where it likes to put in these weekly lower highs, and that would be slightly higher, another 10% up to 22 cents. But yeah, long term, it's great, man. It only goes down. I just love losing money. Shane T says BITF daily weekly. We looked at that one actually near the very, very beginning of this stream. So I figure we're all good there. The conservative cat says USAR stock. Thank you for specifying it as a stock, as well as the full ticker. USA Rare Earth. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Is this like a rare earth ETF or something like this? Like REMX? In which case I'd say this is pretty good. Yeah, like you have a new breakout as of last week. You might have a pullback down to $24. I think that's fine. Again, overall, this thing is poised for new highs. This is very likely going to move to new highs and make new highs for this next month or two. If it wants to pull back, $23, $24, completely fine. You got a nice little gap here on the daily as well. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to pull back there, but if it does, I'd look at that as completely fine. This thing is poised for higher. This looks like a real breakout, even though there's very minimal, price action going on for the last few years. But yeah, rare earths are a good narrative right now, in my opinion. Again, full disclosure, I do hold a rare earths ETF, so maybe I'm talking a little bit of my book here, but of course I own it because I think it's going to do well. Like, it's one of those things, man, like talking your books. Like, yeah, I own it because I think it's going to fucking do well. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyways. We've gone through all the super chats. I want to get to the regular chats now. Let's see what we got going on over here. No yelling or spamming. I don't make the rules, says El Satoshi. Very nice. I am lobotomized by this market, says DevGuru. CRV. We can look at CRV. Oh, sorry. I actually missed one of the super chats here from Antonio P. Or should I say Elsa missed the super chat. Plug. Gotcha, man. This sounds like a stock. Yes, sounds like a stock. Wow, amazing. Oh, even better. Oh, amazing. Yes. Okay, we go down only for the last 25 years. It's been through multiple bull markets and still can't figure out its shit. Look, you get, it's like shitcoins. You get these one-off pops here and there. That's the game that you're playing, basically, if you're playing something like this, man. If I'm on a daily or a weekly, you know, somewhere around $5, which is kind of gotten at for this current high, makes a lot of sense for a pullback. But when I see a down only thing like this, like anywhere can make sense for a pullback. Anywhere can make sense for a pullback. That's the problem with it, because it goes fucking down only. I think absolute best case scenario, if you get one of those absolutely massive pops, like it actually has done in the past, I'll be looking somewhere around that white moving average here, which is $9. That's a fucking super hopium play, by the way. It's trading at $4 right now. I think you're a lot more likely to put in a big pullback somewhere around $5, assuming it even continues the upside as well. But this would be its chance to do such things. Yeah, but even then, I mean, you already have the potential for massive hidden bearish divergence here on a weekly and probably even a monthly as well. Yeah, you will have it on a monthly. I personally think it'll actually spike a little bit higher, to be honest with you. I actually do think it will spike higher, maybe like $7-ish. I think wouldn't actually be that crazy, but yeah, you're basically hoping and praying on one of these happening again, which possible, I guess. It's possible. It's a difficult game to play. It's not my game, and so yeah. I'll leave it at that, sir. All right, we have, yes, Tyrant 33. Krown, can you peep ZB, what? Pith? Yes, I literally just did it. Tyrant 33 says, Krown, can you peep ZBCN? I think it has good utility, you say? It's going to be used. That's right. That's right. Tell me about utility. Have you heard about the crypto coin XRP? I was told about its utility. And then recently I heard that these stupid banks were just going to make their own network and not even use the XRP ledger? What the fuck is this, man? I was told all the banks are going to be using it. And I'm early, and I'm really early. And I'm more early right now than I've ever been in my life. All right, let's see the utility. Oh, I'm feeling the utility, man. Hey, the utility is this. It hasn't been around for that long, so at least it hasn't been going down. That is good utility. Yeah, man. Higher low right here. It's been consolidating for the past few months since June. I think this one's very much ready and more likely to break out to the upside than the downside. You know, if it can pop back above even, what is it, this morning's high or yesterday's high? Yeah, this morning's high. I think you're going to see a general move back up towards 6.5 to 7/10%, somewhere back around here. Probably just makes new highs from there if that happens. However, I would get extremely bearish on this thing if it did pop back down below last week's low at 3.5%. Below there, below that price action pivot, I would be very, very bearish. But until then, it is an actual uptrend, and it doesn't have all this pesky history of just going down only. Now, in the future, it probably does, but for now, it does not, which means it is probably one of the better assets with utility to potentially be playing at this moment in the market cycle. No reasons. Let's have some water, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. One moment. Velvet versus Bitcoins. Cradency says, why would the banks use their own network when they can use XRP? Hundreds of billions to do it for them and give them full control of their money. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, why wouldn't they want full control? They, of course, man, because Brad Garlickhouse, he's really trustworthy, okay? He's a great marketer. He knows his shit, and we should just hand over the keys to him. He's great. He's amazing. He's been printing those fucking XRP coins like it's his goddamn job. I trust him. I mean, shit. Like, if you're fucking Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, like, what do you think you're gonna do? Like, yeah, this Brad Garlickhouse guy sounds really good. This XRP stuff, amazing, absolutely amazing. But of course, the XRP army will grab onto any little morsel of potential hopium and be like, "This is proof. It's already being used by the lizard elites. I'm telling you, man." Sure, I believe you. And I'm convinced. Velvet USD, better than most. Similar to the last chart we looked at, it does not have all that pesky downside history. And if it was going to break down, last week would have been the time for it to break down. And instead, based off of 16 cents. So I'd be looking at this one as more likely to bust through 20 cents than it would be to break through here, or dump down through here. And if it can reclaim 20 cents, I'd be looking for this thing to pop back up to a quarter and probably just continue with the overall uptrend. Again, very limited history here. Do I trust my analysis on this? Hell no. It's way too new. Way too fucking new. But if I had to call it from here, I think at least in the short term, you're going to try back up towards 19 to 20 cents region. Something like that, man. Probably, but let me double check. Yes, I did miss Felix. All right, Felix Morin says, "Hello, Krown. What's up, man? I got a strategy and want your input on it." Okay, so I think this is step 1. Buy the stock from the Magnificent 7 furthest from its all-time high. 2. Put a trailing stop, I think. Stop loss once it breaks its all-time high, about 7%. 3, repeat. During this portion of the market cycle, it very well may work, but this is all. Look, actually, I don't think that is honestly going to be a bad strategy right now, but it's also a really strong signal of kind of where we're at and how mature we are within this market cycle. You know, when we start to do really, really simple stuff like this, it's usually a sign that, hey, we're going to get fucking boo-caked, you know, relatively soon. But relatively soon could be, you know, 3 to 6 months, right? Hopefully not today. It could be today. Hopefully not today. But yeah, man, something like that. So fair enough. Anyways, I'll get back to the regular chats here. Let's see what else we got. Whiskey Bravo says $1 million XRP by 2030, bro. Haha. What's funny about that? What's funny about that? Yeah, man, it's amazing, but it's also a great, like when you get into these communities and you actually like read through their Twitter threads and everything, it's really, really good insight into like the human condition and just human psychology. It's truly amazing that we have these case studies with all these crypto coins. In fact, that's my real conspiracy, is that all of these crypto coins are just psychologists playing out experiments on very smart people who have significant amounts of optimism. Your hair is looking great on your shoulders. Your head's looking good too. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. My head's actually not looking too good, to be honest. It's funny. At first, I was balding from the front here, so I got a hair transplant. Then I got that hair back. Then I was balding from the back, so I got a hair transplant there. Now I'm balding in the middle. Do I have to get a third one? For fuck's sake, man. I don't think I can do it again, honestly. I'm running out of hair. Quantum Dubstep says first supermoon of the year. Do you have any stats on the supermoons? I haven't looked into supermoons specifically, but I have looked into the regular moons. Generally, it lines up with many other things. You know, just this next like month or two is very likely to be a nice upside price action. Yeah, I thought you were going to say significant amounts of autism. I mean, you never know, but I'm not a doctor here. Yeah, man. Yeah. Anyways, I'll scroll through some of these chats. Yep. We did do PITH on the daily many moons ago. IREN stock daily, weekly, monthly. Let's check out IREN. This one's been popular as of recent. IREN on NAS. Yeah, this one made new all-time highs on a closing basis in September, so that gives us a buys for new all-time highs. This month, I did put this Fibonacci extension here. I think we are calling out this 4 extension at $61.50 as an area of interest. I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty impressive move, man. I don't know how much more it has to go, but I don't think you put in the highs just yet. Maybe a short-term pullback in the short term, but I don't think it's put in the highs just yet. I think that this thing's going to make new highs, mid-60s or something like that. But I think you're very close to like major high. Extreme volatility, yes, it's very likely to see multiple bars of that, so not just yet. Weekly RSI is the highest level it's ever been ever. I mean, it's not like honestly, it's not a terrible signal. It's just you're probably going to get like a short-term stopping point relatively soon, and then try your way up again, something like that, man. Yeah, I mean, when I look at traditional markets, I feel like alt season has been happening in traditional markets, not in, going back to the alt season comment, I forget who it was. Oh, fuck, this is going to bug me, man. I really want to give the person credit for asking that question. But anyways, as far as alt season, I feel like alt season actually has been happening recently as well. It's this year, 2025, it's been in stocks. It's been in stocks, particularly crypto stocks, all of these like ETFs surrounding, BMFR, whatever the fuck, and several others as well. Those have been the big, the big winners as of recent. Circle obviously blew up its top recently as well. Anyways, the Camel's Toe says, can we look at ASTER, please? I mean, we can look at it. We looked at it earlier as well. I don't know if I have anything new to say about it. I also forget what I said about it earlier. Again, please understand, ASTER is super new. So I really don't trust my analysis much on this. But if I had to call it right here, if I'm looking at a 4-hour time frame, I'd say, hey, you're in a consolidation zone. The bias is to the upside due to the current trend. it would be confirmed with a breakout to the upside if it can close above 218. And at that point, I think you're going to reclaim those prior highs, probably make new all-time highs. Until then, are you consolidating in this range here? Yeah, and that's fine. It's bullish as long as you're above like $1.50 more or less, or 170. But I don't know if it's necessarily ready to bust through right here. If it wants to play some more sideways action first like this and then bust through, that would be fine as well. But if I had to call it, I actually would be biased towards this one breaking out to the upside. I don't know, within the next week, something like that, man. Cool. Yeah, Bitcoin stocks and treasuries. That's the idea. Well, yes, treasuries as well. Yeah. And that really does seem like an alt season to me because, a lot of these companies that are having Bitcoin treasuries, it doesn't really make sense for them. And it does feel like, it feels like the .com bubble where stocks just like slapped on .com to the end of their name and then they just ran up, significant amounts. I feel like that's kind of the same sort of vibe that I'm getting for these things as well. So it's like we have seen alt season. It's just in stocks. Like that's the narrative right now. The narrative is Bitcoin treasuries, crypto stocks, these sort of things. That's the narrative. So I don't know if we're going to see it particularly in like true alts or if there's going to be like that wide alt season that people are looking for. I feel like we've kind of already seen that again with memes and with AI this cycle. So yeah, do you have any nuclear stocks or looking into any such as Oklo? No, I haven't looked into this, but that would actually be something that would be up my alley. So perhaps I start to research that. You can see over here I had a pretty bad call on this one, looking for it to rally and then fall back down. I got the rally, didn't get the high or low right there though. But still, this one is. I actually don't think it's ready to break out to new highs from here. I'd probably just adjust this, something like this. Still though, it would be bullish overall. I just think you're going to pull back into a higher low, something like that. Then again, I go to the monthly and I feel significantly less confident about that. I'd feel like this one's more likely to make new highs first before it pulls back. Well, you did just make new highs this week. Maybe pull back, fill this gap at like 119, 120, and then try again. But I do think you are getting pretty mature in this rally. Looking for something that's obvious here. I mean, you do have bearish divergence. You do have a lot of signals going on. I don't know. Maybe that is going to be right. I really don't know for this one. I want to really like this chart, and I do really like this chart. But the short term is actually quite difficult to me because you are selling off hard off of the retest of your prior high. So that to me says you want to consolidate this range longer here. So that could easily look something like this. Put in a higher low, I don't know, 120 or something like that, and then try again to the upside perhaps. A hard one for me, to be honest with you. I actually don't feel that confident. I feel like this one is going to be bullish overall, like long term. If we zoom out, we go to the quarterly time frame. Yeah, I'm bullish. I think it's going to make new highs. But the question is, does it pull back, decently in the short term? I really don't know. I don't have a strong opinion. Overall good though. Let's see, pelagic, or is it pelagic or pelagic? Thanks for the cycle that destroys every empire, very informative and concise. Humanity repeats itself over and over time again, immemorial. Yeah, I mean, I actually heard, I really appreciate that feedback first, in a really sincere way, because I really enjoyed putting that video together and I didn't know if people were going to like it. But I heard something, oh God, I forget who I heard it from. It was one of my favorite podcasters recently who said this, and it really clicked with me. And he was explaining why history repeats or why history rhymes. And it's because realistically, there's only like, there's a limited amount of personality types in humans. And so that's why history kind of always rhymes, because you got all these different personality types that kind of take their turns and taking over and taking control. And I think that made a lot of sense to me when I heard that. Maybe I'm not explaining it the best way right now as well, but just another sort of psychological reason and scientific reason why that would actually make sense. We as humans are all dealing with the same machinery. Yes, we are different in certain ways for sure, but we're all dealing with the same machinery, and we all have, and there's like maybe 5 different major personality traits called the Big Five, and people kind of oscillate between all of those different ones, and that's more or less why, these decisions become kind of cyclical in a way. It's just like the natural flow of how all these things interrelate. So yeah, man. Yeah, Bitcoin is crashing. Holy shit, Bitcoin is crashing to 124,850. It's over. It's over, guys. It's over. It's time to pack up the bags and wait another few years. Yeah, the way I look at it though is that you have you have the hard times make strong men makes good times make weak men's, and so on and so forth. And that makes complete sense to me, because the people, like it's like a rich kid who has rich parents, but they didn't earn it themselves. Why are the parents typically capitalistic while the kids are socialistic? It's because the kids didn't have to earn it, so they think that all of these things just come from magic, whereas the parents actually had to work for it, and they realize, oh shit, there's actually value in that. Maybe it's not the best system, but it's the best one that we know. And the kid just doesn't understand. They don't have that same. They didn't have that same sort of initial catalyst to actually have to learn that information. So, the kid doesn't have to internalize the same lessons as the parent. Thus, those lessons are lost. Thus, naturally, society collapses over time, because the people, who made it so great, their lessons are no longer present. And the people who took over, they just take these things for granted. They don't realize the amount of amazingly hard work that is required to make these things work. And it's a fucking miracle that it even works to begin with. But yeah, crashing, stop watching minute candles. I think he might be trolling, but yeah, it's crashing. Holy shit. It's all over. It's all over, guys. It's time to pack up those bags. Damn, that's the explanation I've been looking for years. This time at 33. That's all. I feel like I was doing a terrible job of explaining that, but yeah, it's basically there are a limited amount of human personality traits, and so you just kind of get the same people basically, and they just have access to different amounts of technology. That's really the only difference. Like, technology moves forward, so we have access to all these amazing things, but the people are the same, more or less. So yeah. Explain how Fibonacci works so well. It has to do with the sort of universal nature of Fibonacci's. Like, that's how our minds are programmed. So in a way, it makes sense that our psychology interprets certain ratios that we see everywhere, and that even our bodies are made of. Like, your fucking DNA that makes up you, the shit that makes up you, the DNA, revolves in a Fibonacci sequence. These sort of things, man. And obviously it's embedded in everything. Like, the reason why you think a woman is attractive, assuming that you're attracted to a woman, is because she has a certain Fibonacci ratio, like a 1.618 ratio between like her hips and her waist, or her boobs, or something like this. It sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm actually not. And so all these things are embedded in us. If you look at a fucking flower, the way that all the flower petals are kind of arrayed around the seeds are in a Fibonacci sequence. It relates everything. So it makes boobs. Yeah. Like, what? Titties, boobs, chests, chesticles. All these things are great. Like, I fucking love titties. They're amazing. So anyways, yeah. That's why I think it works. It's just because it's a psychological thing. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, these ratios make sense, so it should extend this much, and then basically it should come down from there. And that relates to our psychology in a way. Now, is that true? Do I have a way of proving that? No, I don't. I don't have a way of proving that, so I don't fucking know. But actually, I do have a way of proving that, because it seems like Fibonacci's just get respected when we look at charts. When you look at a chart and you draw a Fibonacci retracement on them, almost always they line up with significant levels. Almost always. Not always. Not going to be perfect, obviously. Nothing works perfectly. But shit, man. Just try it yourself and make your own decision for it. Do you want to look at injective? Sure. Let's look at injective. Yeah, I can make more videos in that series. I'm just trying to decide if I should make another channel for that. Because I understand it's probably going to be relevant to everyone. And yeah, like I can take that in a lot of ways. I can go like super fucking nerdy psychology route. I can also just go like super historical route. All of these things are very interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like I should probably do like some polls within the community and just see what people are interested in, so I can make it as relevant as possible. I'm really split on this chart, to be honest. It's overall, I think it's a very uninteresting chart, and it's not strong in the short term, which is not a good sign. But again, it's just not the time to be bearish on things right now, I don't think. I think there was a moment like at the end of September and early October where that certainly could have made sense. And Bitcoin, denied that. And as of right now, daily time frame right here has a really, really easy setup. This is about as simple as it gets. Look, if you trade back above this price action pivot here at 1362 and a half, then I'd be looking for this thing to make another leg up towards 15 and a quarter. If you get rejected here and you come back down below last Friday's low, then I'd be looking for this thing to fall apart, honestly. Yes, you're going to probably have a nice short-term bounce at $11 and 10 cents or whatever, but I think that would fail. I am biased towards this one moving to the upside, not because of its own strength. This is absolute fucking garbage right here. It's because of the strength of the rest of the market. But if Bitcoin experiences any sort of a pullback, like if Bitcoin were to have a flash move back down to 120, this thing's going to get fucking killed, man. It's going to very easily take out last week's low. At that point, I wouldn't be surprised to see it back down $10, maybe below $10. Like overall, really not a fan of this chart long term. So it's like it's being lifted up by the strong tide, but it is not strong on its own. So if the tide vanishes or even relents a little bit, then this thing is going to get fucking shitted on. So yeah, man. Bitcoin crashing. Lucifer Incestus says 618 works because literally everyone trades that level. It's not difficult to explain. There is definitely a degree of sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. Does everyone look at it? Obviously not. But also, why does everyone look at it, or why do people even care to begin with? Again, it is due to just its prevalence in nature. Like you're not even aware of it. Like you're obviously sending me back like a little bit of a rude comment, which is fine. You can do that, but at the same time, I'd say that you completely missed my fucking point because that encapsulates that whole thing to begin with. So yeah, fuck you. Anyways, I'm kidding, man. Don't actually fuck you. It's all good. Anyways, I'll read some more of these. How much does you follow politics for what might affect crypto? I does follow politics, and I does not know the effect on the kryptons. Look, I don't really follow politics. I just go on Twitter, which is probably very close. Look, man, do the politics matter? Okay. So Bitcoin's been around for 15 years, about 15 years now, right? And we've seen presidents from both angles of the political sphere. Some people think an actual fascist, and some people think an actual communist. I think both of those are absolutely fucking wrong. Here's what the chart does. Does it matter? It doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't fucking matter. And guess what? In traditional markets, it matters even less. It just goes fucking up, okay? It just goes fucking up. All it does is it goes fucking up. Now, is Trump a good president for markets in general? Yes, but we can also get into issues as well. Like if he, basically from what I understand is that the Trump administration 100% understands that we have a big fucking issue with the debt. The other side of the aisle, I don't think understands that issue as well, or at least they're not willing to deal with it. So in this way, I do think the Trump administration is a significantly better choice for this issue, which I actually do think is the one existential issue for the United States. Again, I'll reference yesterday's video for the fall of empires as to why that is. I won't go through a full explanation of it. However, you can check that out if you're interested. Anyways, Trump's administration's solution to this is not to have austerity. Instead, it is to make the economy grow as much as possible so that it outpaces the debt. Is this possible to do? Yes. Is it extremely fucking hard to do? Hell yeah. Has anyone else in history done it? I don't think so. I think Japan kind of has done something similar, but they've also had stagflation for the past, 40 years? They haven't had any meaningful gains. Japan used to be, probably one of the best economies. I mean, amongst or outside of the U.S. And now they're still relevant now, but they haven't been making progress. Is my point. So the Trump administration is playing a very difficult game. Can they pull it off? I hope they do, because I'm an American and I want America to do well, and I want Americans to do well. And by Americans doing well, the rest of the world gets to do well as well, because then you don't have fucking China taking over, which you'd probably, if you have any fucking sense about you, or if you read any history, you probably would prefer America over China. Again, some people will disagree with me on that, in which case I would say, Good luck with that, sir. Go move to China. Go move to China. How about that? Go move to Russia. You know, just go move to North Korea. It's amazing. Go move to fucking Turkmenistan. You know, I just found out about this country. You think fucking North Korea is bad? Turkmenistan is like North Korea, but no one gives a fuck that their dictator is a crazy bastard. Because why? Because they have a shit ton of oil and all the other countries need their oil, so they have to play nice with them basically. So no one calls them out on their shit like they do with North Korea. Look it up. It's fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. Their president like tries to pretend that he's like perfect at everything. He does like national music songs and shit like this. He also like races cars. He also bowls and he never gets anything less than a strike. He does everything perfectly. He does everything fucking perfectly. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like everyone talking about North Korea, no one fucking knows about Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is way fucking crazier. Anyways, where was I even going with that? I forget. Yes, the Trump administration with their strategy. I hope it works, man. Is it going to work? I think it's going to be really fucking hard, and I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult, but you know, they do have some tailwinds. They got the AI and robotics and everything coming. Everyone already knows this is all fucking, you know, cliche bullshit at this point, but it is true. So, you know, they do have some cards on their side. We'll just see if they can pull it off or not. And I hope that they do. You know, I'll put it that way. I hope that they do. Anyways, I think we need to end things there, guys. I have a few appointments to get to and a few calls to get to as well. But it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this nice little Monday day. I love these conversations, pontificating all sorts of things that we ultimately have no fucking clue on. But it is really, really fun, as well as looking at some charts as well. This has been a fun day, and hopefully we can come back tomorrow with another good analysis. I'll probably focus it more on the higher term time frame signals, and then Wednesday we'll be back on with another live stream analysis. So other than that, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. Take care.